So next up, basically the founder, spearhead of this initiative, Amy Stevens, with the executive director of the Edmond Historical Society and Museum. Like I said, they hosted the first event, which inspired us to host the second one and to keep this energy going. And so if Amy Stevens would like to come up. She was named 2021 Edmond Woman of the Year. She has won numerous Oklahoma Museum Association awards. Amy authored 3 award-winning history books about the Oklahoma City Zoo and over 350 articles on people and historical events. Her love for 1930s architecture stems from working in 2 WPA-built buildings, fueling her passion for preserving history. Please give Amy Stevens a round of applause.
I don't know how to get to my presentation. Sorry. Hate to just start pushing buttons.
So probably just put on the
Okay.
And WPA Symposium probably. That look like you?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. And then just drop that magic.
Okay. Good morning. I am so thrilled to be here, to be speaking to people that care about history as much as I do. I just want to give you a very short overview about why we're here today and what we're hoping to accomplish, and also acknowledge the people that kind of got this started. As you know, we are getting really close to the centennial of the 30s. It's hard to believe, but we're marching there quickly. And this is an important time in history. The stock market crash, the Dust Bowl, the Depression, so many things happened during this generation. And we need to start getting ready now to tell those stories at our sites, in our personal communities. And so let's not wait until 2029 to start doing that. Let's start getting ready now. So that's kind of how this started. And I want to acknowledge the team. It wasn't just me. I was part of a team that kind of had this vision to get rolling. First off, 2 of the other people on here, it's Kyle and Sherry, are in the room, and I'm so grateful to them because they are the ones that we sat down and brainstormed, what can we do? Maybe we should start talking about this now when we have about a decade to get ready for it. And so you're going to hear a little bit of their story and my story as I unveil how this happened. But basically, a couple of years ago, I saw that the National Trust for Historic Preservation had a grant that would help communities get rolling on some kind of historical project. And based on some discussions that Kyle and Sherry and I had about 10 years ago, we thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is our chance to finally make this a bigger thing than just the 3 of us talking about, oh, the WPA-CCC is so cool. The challenge I ran into is, what do you call this? So I put some queries out, and it turns out most of the public doesn't know what CCC or WPA stand for. And so I had initially named the grant, I love my CCC, WPA, consortium, blah, 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 and realized that even the tourism director in my area said, I don't know what you're talking about. So awareness is a big part of what we need to do. These are terms that are not familiar to most generations, and it's mostly historians and people who work at nature sites. And so we wanted to, we went with the New Deal. We felt like that was a little bit more understandable, but we want more people to be aware of this. So last year, thanks to that grant, we were able to hold a session at my museum, which is the Edmond History Museum, and we had about 50 people. We're in the metro area, but we did have people from many different cities, and our vision was this, to start traveling it around to different communities and not the metro parts of the state, so that more people can get involved and then travel with us next year. So I don't know where it's going to be yet next year, but I hope that many of you will travel with us and keep this rolling. As you see, we had many different kinds of people come to this. Some were just citizens, some owned these properties. But we also have a lot of, the state officials are really excited about the fact that we are already thinking about this, because they know probably in their job description somewhere is, oh, we need to start getting ready for the centennial of the 1930s, but we're already starting that for them, so we have their support. So thank you for what you're doing. So my journey that includes Kyle and Sherry started at the Oklahoma City Zoo. I was the lead educator and unofficial historian at the zoo for 20 years. And during that process, there was a old bathhouse by the lake that was just sitting there as a storage unit and deteriorating, frankly. And I was getting nervous that it was going to get torn down. And luckily, the administration got behind an idea some of us had to turn it into a museum about the zoo's history, which is called the Zooseum. That was a midnight brainstorm that stuck. And so going through that process, I started learning a lot about this era of architecture, frankly. And so these are some of the photos that were uncovered during that. At the top, this is a group of the CCC Unit 895, and they are building the zoo amphitheater right there. And then this was the building of the bathhouse, and you can see in the top corner there's a guy sitting up there wearing his little straw hat. And so I really started falling in love with this time period of history. Well, Sherry Vance came on at the zoo, and she started working with me on doing displays in the Zooseum about the history. And along the way, I met Kyle, who's a state park ranger out up at Osage Hills. And it turns out he really, really loves the CCC, and his area at Osage Hills has a lot of CC, and he would even live in a cabin built by the CCC, right? And so the more we started talking, we started seeing all these connections and passions for this time period. And then the most amazing thing, I was doing some research on my camp, Camp 895, and it turns out that those boys traveled up to Bartlesville to Osage Hills, and it was the same group. It was Unit 895, and so we think some of the same people traveled up there and were building it. So we ended up doing an exhibit at the zoo about CCC Unit 875. I'm sorry, I keep saying 75.
It's both. It's your side, it's both, and my side is 895.
Okay, that's why I'm getting confused. It's been a while since I've dug into that part of the history. So that was a wonderful exhibit and really exposed a lot of people to the fact that we're standing in this beautiful sandstone building that is part of history. And then when I moved to my position at the Edmond History Museum, I was once again working in a sandstone building. And it was the armory. There were 52 armories built on basically the same floor plan all around the state, and only a few of them remain, but this is where I work now. And I so often walk in the doors and I go about my business, but occasionally I pause and think, wow, I am standing in the middle of history. And these were WPA workers, which they were skilled workers that lived in Edmond and built these amazing buildings that have stood the test of time. And don't you feel like maybe the site that you care about, it's almost really approaching 100 years old, and so we want to save those. Just so happens that my museum is also inside Stevenson Park, which has many, many elements built by the WPA. And we just had a big remodel, and yet we retained a lot of these rock bridges because people loved them. There would have been an outcrying if they tried to take them down. So they've incorporated the new and the old. In that park, we also have the original American Legion building, which is largely unchanged. I mean, look at the old and new. It's the same building with very little modification. But this isn't just about architecture. I think people go to state parks and they stay in these rock cabins and they think about that being the CCC WPA. but it's also many other things, including art and music and writing. This painting hangs in our city council, and it's a WPA mural that was in the post office and now is getting ready to move in the next few weeks into the new city council. So it is traveled. This history is traveling with us and telling that story. So my career has camped in the 30s quite a bit, but I now can look in hindsight and say this era's influence is strong in my life as I've been doing some research on my family history. My grandparents and great-grandparents, they lived through these eras. They lived through the Great Depression, and I one time did a recording of my grandma talking about what it was like to live during the Dust Bowl and wearing the moist cloths over her face and talking about not having chapstick because they couldn't afford it and the things that they ate that are so different. And these influenced us, and they're still influencing you. The things your grandparents did got passed down. And so there are still evidences in our society of the ways they lived during the Great Depression. And so I think that's really special. And then just about a year and a half ago, before our last session, I found out that my grandfather was a CCC boy. So that was really exciting. Here I'd been sharing this history and didn't even know it was part of my own history. So it makes me think, what's your story? You're here for a reason today. It's because you love something, you're interested in history, you want to save something before it gets plowed down. So those are maybe the reasons we're here, but we've got to spread that beyond these walls. It can't just be us. We have to get other people involved in carrying the younger generations. So during our survey last year, one of the things that was really poignant to me is that most attendees came because they wanted to learn more so they could be better stewards and share the word. And so that's what we're doing today, is we're continuing that effort. And I think not only are we thinking about how do we save this stuff, but we're thinking about tourism and marketing. During the centennial, how do we bring people to our sites so that they can love them too? Maybe that will help us save some sites that are getting ready to get torn down. So thank you so much, Jason, and your team, the museum team, for hosting this and inspiring us to keep on going. And hopefully I'll see many of you every year for the next 10 years or so until the final product is done. Thank you to Kyle and Sherry, who really are the backbone of this and helped make it happen. And let's just have a great day together and share our information, okay? Thank you.